Chapter 13, Nurturing the Dream, Remembering How to Breathe. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Eleanor Roosevelt. You are enough. You have enough. You do enough. Gratitude took me to a place of believing there was more. Gratitude and thinking about what I loved reminded me the way things are now is not as good as it gets. Once I embraced uncertainty and believed I could be more, the doors flew open. Step by step, I walked toward my dream. It wasn't the way I'd planned. It was much slower and a path with more switchbacks than I cared for, but the journey was in motion. I still have down days, disappointments, and times of struggle. So what's different? Well, I'm on the path. My dream and my belief keeps me going. I get up wondering about life rather than being worried that the other shoe is about to drop and that I'm deluded if I think I'm ever going to actually make it. Now, even during the toughest times, I can say with full conviction that this is only a bump in the road, a mere diversion, and I'm on my way. I wonder if you've been thinking about your dream and your passion. Has thinking or writing what you're grateful for or what you love stirred anything? What is or was your dream? What are you passionate about? What is it that you so love doing that you lose track of time while you're doing it? Once you remember the dream and give yourself permission to entertain your renewed passion, you've made a great start. The trick is to hold on to that renewed dream and passion in the midst of living the life of a single parent, because for you and me, survival and the needs of our kids, well, it trumps everything else. Even though the higher calling of the single parent is the parenting part, it doesn't mean death to a vision for the future. Dreams get put on hold, but they don't have to die. Putting them on the shelf is not the same as putting them in the grave. It's possible to keep them alive. It's possible to add logs to the fire and let their coals cast their slow, steady heat and enjoy the warmth of the embers. When I say add logs to the fire, I mean take concrete steps toward your dream while you fulfill the parenting role. I started doing mock radio interviews. In some ways, they seemed silly in those days, but because I didn't have the technology or means to do a professional show. Nowadays, there's blog radio and podcasting, so it's even more possible to produce a convincing show. Even with my primitive methods, I had fun interviewing friends. A great byproduct of my mock broadcast was the curiosity and the growing interest of my friends. I learned new skills like computer editing as I created in my spare time and had a blast doing it. It was all amateur, which may seem anticlimactic since I had been in radio. I had been used to having all the equipment I needed. Low-tech though it was great fun and amazing to realize I could actually do something this creative. The first CD I sent out wasn't great, but it was a start. It led to several radio interviews, and voila, I suddenly had real audio to work with and send out. Next, I worked on proposals. I had no idea if I would ever send them out, but it gave me a place to describe my dream of a coaching radio show. See, I was finding ways to keep the dream alive. What are the tools of your trade? Can you use them to volunteer? For example, are you a musician? Why not do some fun, free concerts for the love of your craft? Whenever I got discouraged, I would listen to coaching shows. My good friend and coach, R, would remind me there's room for all of us and for our dreams. What is it you love? What is something you can do to keep what you love alive? Does volunteering fit in? How about teaching others what you love? Do these questions stir up any ideas for you? What has occurred for you? Well, write it down and maybe tell a safe friend. I dare you. What can you do to nurture the dream and keep it alive until you have the time and energy to devote yourself fully to it? I found that in making it fun and playful, I was actually laying the groundwork. Every little step makes a difference. Print some business cards and hand them out. There are places online where you can get the cards for free, so you can even experiment with wording and design. Once you hand them out, you're starting to network, making connections. Soon 1 or 2 people will get on board with you. People love to be part of an energetic movement, and when you love your dream, you will be energized, and your passion will draw others. I was resentful of my dream because I couldn't make it happen. It was too big. How dare it be so big? But when I started making little efforts towards it, just for fun, guess what? It began to come together. Once I made an audio tape for a job opening. Well, I didn't get the job. It was a long shot, but applying and making connection was energizing. It got me back into the world I loved. No is a viable option. Sometimes I felt like I was on a treadmill going nowhere fast. Why apply for a job I couldn't get? Here's why. It was about action. Being brave, stepping out, and taking a risk. One more no put me that much closer to a yes, right? Believe me, that is an empowering thought. It fills your cup. Soon I had famous radio people leaving messages on my phone saying, no, someone I heard on the radio every day was calling me and leaving a no message, but I would respond back and thank him or her for taking the time to call me. Oh, and by the way, sir, can you give me your professional opinion about how I might improve? I value what you think. What do you think I should work on? Ask for help. Ask, 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 ask. What could happen? He already said no once. Swallow your pride. Take a risk. Risk. Ask. I discovered something revolutionary, and you can discover it too. It's worth about $1 zillion. It's this. No is an acceptable answer. There are only so many no's before you get the yes. And when someone says no, you are closer to the yes you long for. If you work in sales, you know you have to get like 100 no's before you get one yes. So start counting those no's. Start your collection, make a chart, tote them up with a whiteboard, because if you embrace the no's, it means you're getting closer. No is not a sign to stop. It's a sign to up the ante. Get those no's out of the way so when you're ready to launch, your groundwork is all done. Start promoting yourself in small ways. Do it for yourself, but don't get caught up in making sure it's perfect or even if it will make money. About those cards, get one that has your name, what you love, and start putting it out there. Give it a funny or catchy motto. We have a joke at our work. We will do voiceovers for food. Just start nurturing the dream. Take a step. Become a volunteer. Find a mentor who is doing what you want to do. Never stop wondering about what is next. If you have a purpose, then it's our job to walk towards it and let it play out. Even if you say, I don't know what it is I'm supposed to do, it doesn't matter because it all starts with what you love, and what you love is your seminal idea. When I wanted to get back into radio, I didn't tell very many people because I knew they would think I was just a dreamer. About the time my kids were almost out of the nest, I really had my doubts. Somehow I gave it my best shot and got back in the door. I started with an idea that I put into action by making a silly tape on my computer. The silly, made-up tape got me an actual interview, which of course was a better tape. That got me another interview, and from that connection I found Metro, where I applied for and got a job as a traffic reporter. It still wasn't the show I had imagined. That came later, and when I got my own show, I lost the sponsors I needed to keep going. That gave me the opportunity to make the show even better. Now my coaching partner and I are doing an entirely new call-in coaching show. So start with what you love. Write down 20 things you love. You can pause this. Take a moment to say or write 20 things you love. I also love public speaking, and I wanted to make a career of it. I asked women who were doing it, and they didn't always know how to help me. I read books by people doing it. I wanted to. I looked into courses and seminars offered by experts, but they were expensive. I found speakers who had a presence online and subscribed to their blogs. The important thing was to find out what one has to do to be successful in doing what you want to do. While I was doing all this hard work, I saw that people like me needed help. I vowed that when I figured it out, I would show others how I did it. Do some research and dream a little at first. Give yourself permission to wonder. Allow yourself the freedom to think about what it will be like when you're living your dream. Then reduce it to the ridiculous. Find one thing you can do that propels you toward the fulfillment of your dream. Tend to your dream. Think about nurturing it. As parents, we nurture our children. We help them grow. We feed them, take care of them when they're sick. If you're a gardener, you understand what it means to nurture. If you're starting a plant from a seed, it needs water, sun, or not too much sun. You do your best to provide the ideal environment for it to grow. It's more than just planting, it's tending to. I tended to my dream. Sound selfish? How can we help others if we haven't nourished ourselves first? Think about the little talk the flight attendants always give before the plane takes off. You know the one no one listens to, but if they did, they would pause when the attendant says, those of you with small children, put your mask on first and then help your children with theirs. Doesn't that just make sense? I can help you breathe if I can breathe myself. If I take care of myself, I have more to offer my family, my friends, and my dream. Once the dream begins to flourish, then it begins nurturing me. Surround yourself with people who can feel your heartache and who will encourage you to persevere. Be careful at first. Only tell people who are for you. Don't cast your pearls before swine. Avoid telling naysayers what you're up to until you have been thinking about it for a while and can handle some negativity. Often their negative comments are a campaign for avoiding all risk and suffering. Without heartache, we don't grow. At times I've heard myself say, enough already. How much rejection can one girl take? At that moment, I use my dream to spur me on. I find relief listening to podcasts of other coaches, and then I think, I can do this. The wounds heal, and I feel brave again, and I put my dream out there, and help comes in unexpected ways. My friend Jennifer was trying for a morning news job at a local radio station. She didn't get the job, but it opened the door for her to do what she really wanted. And when she interviewed, she met some other people in the band who later fell in love with her saxophone playing and offered to let her be a part of some of their productions. Through this connection, she also met a woman who shared her interest, and they produced a radio show together. At one of their events, she ended up meeting Mr. Right. It all started because she was trying to get a better job that would earn her enough to pay the rent and have a better life, but she didn't get it. She would tell you she got a whole lot more by not landing that job. And some of her good fortune spilled over into my cup. I had a radio show that had been airing about 6 months. When funds ran out, when bad economic times hit, I lost my sponsors. I was devastated and felt like a failure. A dear friend encouraged me to fight for it, but being a single parent, I couldn't take time to market and sell advertising. So I let it go. It broke my heart, and I fell into a depression. I couldn't have known what would happen next. Jennifer, now fully into making her dreams a reality, got a radio show going and asked me for some coaching audio segments. I recorded them, and she played them on the air. Soon after, I had lunch with my coach friend Suzette, who had been a guest on my show, but who heard Jennifer's show and was reminded of her own segments on my show. She asked if I was thinking of getting the show going again. I mentioned how sad I had been about losing the show, but that I couldn't sustain it on my own. She said, I've been really thinking about how much I love being on your show and how fun it would be if we could revive it. How about that? Help came in an unexpected way. As we began sharing ideas, our passions grabbed a hold of us, and we said, let's do it. We didn't know how to do it at that point, but we were determined to figure it out. I couldn't muster energy to try to do it alone. We agreed to meet on a weekly basis and talk about the show. We did a focus group, and it went well. We couldn't believe it. We learned as we went. We spoke with someone who produced radio shows for Disney. He gave us some advice that I wasn't very happy about. He recommended we read Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. Based on Gary's formula, he suggested we do podcasts. Now, I wanted to do a radio show, not a podcast. But because he was so gracious to meet with us via phone and offer advice, I followed it. I bought the book, encouraged my friends to do audio blogs, and finally Suzette and I started our own audio blogs. People seemed to like them, and it gave us a lot of practice in working together for the upcoming show. So I'm glad I didn't blow him off because he didn't say what I wanted to hear. We made a website, posted our audio blogs, made a Facebook fan page, and finally we launched a radio show called Coffee with the Coaches. Find your passion and start doing things around it that make you happy, that make you smile and scare you to death. It definitely improves the attitude. Almost everything I'm doing right now can be done without money. Don't let money or fear get in your way. Instead, ask for help and information. What a time we live in where you can find free ways to get a job done that only a few years ago would have cost a fortune, enough to discourage loads of people. Why bother with remembering the dream? Why open the door to heartache and disappointment? Why stir up the past passions only to face more hurt? Why? Because this too shall pass. And one day you'll be looking back on your time as a single parent and you'll think, now what? What's next? Remember to dream about the dream while you're on your journey, even in the midst of a chaotic life. The day will come when your kids are grown and on their own and you forgot to remember what you love. You may slide into depression. I know you're thinking, no way, I'll be doing the dance of joy when my responsibilities are over. All of my time and energy went into parenting, survival, and the day-to-day living, and then one day it was over. I was on my way to my dream, and I can't help but wonder how I would have coped had I not had things in place ahead of me. It doesn't take away the emptiness of having the kids raised, but it does help with regret and resentment of not taking care of yourself. Do yourself and your family a favor and remember what you love and think about what is next. What's your purpose? What makes you light up? What can you see yourself doing in your twilight years? How will you model for your children doing more than just surviving and making a living? What does it mean to really live? So what is your dream? I dare you to look at it, think about it, value it. It's yours and it was given to you for your purpose here. And it's waiting for you to remember it. It's not selfish. It's not self-full. It is doing the thing that gives life to you. Kudos to you for being brave enough to look at and remember your dream. It makes me feel less lonely knowing there are others courageous enough to face their dreams. Remember the dream, discover the dream, and give yourself permission to think about it, dream about it, wonder about it. Nurturing the dream is finding a way to keep it real and alive, even if it has to be on hold for a while. You can read a book about it, take a class, find a group, volunteer. Nurturing the dream isn't about doing it right now. It's about keeping it alive, keeping the flame burning. It's about not giving up and not giving in. What have you been secretly wishing for? What is your dream? Just wondering. What does nurturing your dream look like? What is hard about it? What's the risk? What scares you about stepping out? Are there others who can help you? Would networking groups be a good connection for you? Is there something you can do or somewhere you can volunteer to be doing what you love? I announced at horse shows and at the fair. It was huge fun. Make a list of 10 things you can do to nurture your dream. Just baby steps. 10 things. Prioritize the baby steps. Find out what tools you need. Can you do one thing a month? Maybe one a week? How about a daily activity that keeps you connected with your dream? Start having fun doing what you love, now in the moment.